Welcome to Innovation Inside the Box. Drew Boyd teaches teams, businesses, and governments how to solve tough problems to create a culture of innovation and a flowing pipeline. Innovation Inside the Box features structured creativity and innovation strategies for leaders who want to think differently, be more innovative, implement change, and grow. The conversations you'll hear will help you apply innovation methods to services and processes, overcome resistance to ideas, and create a culture of innovation. Here's your host, Drew Boyd.
If you want to be a more creative person, you need to take the time to stop and look at things that you think are creative and understand why they are creative. Welcome to Inside the Box. I'm Drew Boyd, and in this episode, let me share with you some observations that I've had recently about how I lead a more creative life, and through a simple technique that I call pattern spotting, or basically what it is I take the time to carefully examine things that I think are creative and try to understand the underlying structure to them. Here's what's interesting is that creations, innovative things, are structured, not wild and exotic and just outside the box thinking type of ideas. The best innovations come when they were developed with an underlying pattern or structure to them. And you can understand and notice and reveal that pattern to yourself and then replicate it in how you think about other things around you. That's really the secret to leading a more creative life, if you ask me. Now, here's the point. Where do you do this? Where's a good place to do this? And, of course, I could say anywhere. You could do it in a store or in your car. But in this episode, I specifically want to talk about a very neat venue where you are going to find loads of innovative ideas, and that is at airports. So we're finally traveling now. The effects of the pandemic are being lifted. I've been on the road quite a bit lately, internationally as well as domestically, and I'm sure many of you are starting to think about summer travel and business travel. So you're at airports a lot. For me, I love it because I grew up in an airline family and I spent time in the Air Force and the airline industry. I just love airplanes and love airports. So for me, it's a natural to feel comfortable there. Not everybody, I get that, but even the short amount of time that you spend in airports, it's a great opportunity for you to look around and spot some innovative things and do this. Start pattern spotting. See what you think is creative. Don't just fly through the airport and not take the time to see what's going on around there. Here's an example. I think one of the most interesting things for me, I know you're going to laugh when I say this, but the baggage claim area, the bag belts, the big conveyors that bring your bags out after a trip. Well, over the years, those things have become much more creative, not in just how they function, but in the advertising that happens around them. And creative advertising is another way to spot creative ideas and underlying structures to make you think and go, gee, wow, how do they think of that? What's the structure that I can replicate someday? And so I will look at bag claim belts and see all kinds of advertising. It's picked up greatly in the last few years. And what's true is that airports rely on advertising revenue. About 50% of the revenues that airlines collect comes from non-aviation related fees and revenues. And so that's a very important thing, like advertising and many other things, food sales, royalties, things like that. So you have this bag belt, and imagine being able to put some sort of graphic on each part of the belt or on top of it. And the key to this, and where you're going to find the creative part of it, is this. You're looking for an ad that you think is placed extremely cleverly. In other words, there's a reason why that particular ad is at that particular place at that particular time. Great advertisers, the most creative advertisers, use this idea we call fusion. Fusion of the moment to the product, to the brand, to the message. Everything seems to work. As opposed to just taking some ad for, pet food or some other product, cologne or whatever, and just placing it any old place in the airport. That's the default, and that's what a lot of non-creative ads you'll see just placed any place. A lot of ads are encouraging shopping at duty-free shops and things like that, which is fine. But the most clever ones come in the most innocuous or simple places like the baggage belt. So think about you're standing there for 10 minutes or so waiting for your bags. You've got a captive audience and you wanted to say something to them. The key is to think about what's on that person's mind at that particular point where you could give them a message that would be valued. So, for example, how about something about luggage? I stood at the bag belt the other day and I was watching all the different types of bags that come out. And mentally, I'm kind of running through my mind like, hey, that's a neat bag. Why don't I get that? Why don't I get that? I'm actually shopping for bags right there as they're passing by. And that would be a great place for some advertiser of a particularly unique piece of luggage, which we're seeing a lot of, by the way, a lot of innovation and creative ideas in luggage. That would be a great place for it. What else? Well, things like job placement. People that are traveling are in transition. It's a natural transition point. And so if you're advertising aspects about life that involve transitions, we see home builders doing this. I'm starting to think now as I walk through the airport where I frequent the most, which is Cincinnati, Atlanta, Detroit. Spend a lot of time there. Actually, LA. I spent a lot of time in Los Angeles. And so we see home builders because that's the transitionary point in your mind and you're more open, more thinking about the movement of your life. And so look at those times and start to see what are people thinking, feeling, or acting at that exact moment. What's their highest point of receptivity for a particular message? But it's not just advertising that you can see at airports. Take a look around and start to look at things in the security area. How things are done or how they're designed, the tools they use, the processes they use. Use this time for what I call mindfulness, right? Creative mindfulness. Just observing the things in each specific area. And why I say airports or security or the baggage claim area, when you focus it down on a specific area and really constrain yourself to that area, your mind's going to work a little harder, a little smarter, a little more creative. And that's what you want to do. You want to take that time to notice those things. That's what it means to live a creative life. Look also at the gate area. Look at areas around the terminals and other things that you'll see that are highly creative. Airports are such an amazing phenomena in our life, right? They not only are these massive 10,000-foot runways for large airplanes, but they are huge collection points for people in and out. The flow of people at airports every day around the world is just a magnificent phenomena of human existence. And a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity is there for you to see. So I hope I made my case for you to lead a more creative life. Become more creative just by taking the time to spot the things around you in airports or on airplanes or anywhere when you travel, and see that creative thing and start to internalize it as though you were then going to use that same structure for something else. That's what I do. That's what highly creative people do, and you can do it too. Hey, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please become a regular subscriber. Download the episodes. That helps a lot. Also, be sure to check out my other presence online, my LinkedIn learning courses you might find interesting, as well as my live streams every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on a variety of topics related to creativity, marketing, decision-making, and many other topics that I think you would find interesting. Thanks so much. See you next time.